Ready?
Ready as I'll ever be.
All right, welcome back. Episode 14, Spark Your Interest podcast, joined with Fordy and Sam. And we're just going to be going through a bit of a weekly recap and just some topics to bring up that we sort of have been talking about that we'll go through. So, first of all, start with a bit of a weekly catch-up. What have you been doing?
What have I been doing? I've been finishing off some renovations that we've been working on for a while. Slower renovations that clients kept changing things. So that was annoying. I think renos are annoying.
There's a lot of renos. I feel like there's been a lot of renos at the moment. Like we're normally doing a lot more new builds, but it seems, I don't know, something going on with people. I don't know if it's like council here, it's easier to get a renovation through, because like some of the ones we're doing are like knocked down to slab and then renovated.
Well, I think, isn't that to do though with the DA process? That they don't have to go through certain...
Yeah. But yeah, it seems to be a few renos. I don't know if people...
Are we supposed to shout these things out?
Little Dragons, yep.
Was that what, were we supposed to be doing that?
Stone and Wood again. Offshoot of Stone and Wood.
These are nice.
The Little Dragons. Ginger beer. So we'll switch it up. We've got a bit of a care package. So we've got the Hinterlands that we had on the other week. These and some East Coast lagers, I think, or something.
No, the East Coast, aren't they like some sort of hazy IPA or something? I saw them down there. They're the green ones.
They're the green ones.
Yeah, they're good.
Oh, that's next week.
Okay. Lots of renovations. What else have I been doing? A bit more finishing that quote. And then, what did I do last week?
I was on holidays.
Oh, that's nice.
I just got back. Had about 1,000 emails. Worst mistake, came back from holidays yesterday and I got it back a bit earlier, so I was like, I'll just go to the office and
why would you
sort
do
my
that?
car out. I opened my emails because I'd actually switched off for once, and there was about 100 emails there and absolute shit fight. Nothing too major. Lost a couple of jobs that we quoted that we kind of thought we had. That was a bit shit to come back to, but that's just the way it is, isn't it? Like, I feel like we're quoting a lot of stuff at the moment, and it seems to be like lowest prices winning with a lot of stuff. And like some of the things are like we're pricing. I don't know if there's a bit of a turn at the moment where people are just sort of throwing prices out there, because some of the jobs are big jobs and.
Yeah, but is there a desperation from some?
That's what I was getting at. Like whether they're just
be beyond. It's gone to the point of ridiculousness with competitiveness. It's not competitive.
I don't think it's at that rate yet, but I could probably see it going that way. But man, I don't. You gotta have some sort of accountability as to how much something costs, and you can't just drop your price. What's the point in working for free?
No,
you know what I mean. Right. Like there's no point in doing that. So we obviously have a limit we can get to, and when people start going, oh, can you drop your price down? Can you drop your price down? Like we don't put extortionate prices on anything enough to be able to do that. So, you know, when people are asking us to drop prices on stuff, we kind of can't, because it's the price is the price, and we know the price. We've got everything in place to have everything set. So we can, when we quote stuff, it's like bang, bang, bang. We just pull the same, like it's everything's priced everything's priced as a pre-build, as like based on averages. But yeah, no, it was good. I had a bit of a break, so that was good to escape for a bit, and then straight back into it today on the tools.
A lot of testing actually. I've been doing a lot of testing. Yeah. We've been doing a lot of final commissioning of jobs that we've had coming up. So Pat and I have been doing that beachside drive one. We did that last week. Yeah. It was good. Found some faults in that.
I don't think we spoke about. I don't think we've done an episode since we did our testing with everyone in the office either.
No.
So did everyone in the office, that was good. Also did a AC install, that was good. That's our first one we've done, so that was good.
Oh, I found a fault on a battery system that we still don't have a resolution to.
Yeah. Did we?
So we found that there was 90 volts across on the earth of the battery system. So we were finishing a renovation. One of our guys was finishing a renovation, going through and testing it, and found. And then I went to go and assist him just to finish off the day. It was like a classic Friday afternoon scenario. Yeah. Went to go and help him. We had to pull parts of the board around where the guys that had done the battery had just sort of how to put it nicely.
I knew,
Amended the board.
without putting it nicely, when I first looked at that renovation and quoted it, the first thing I said to the builder is that looks fucked.
Yeah, it wasn't a very pretty install, and I think there was obviously something more going on. But basically what they'd done is that they'd run the backup circuits out of an existing subboard that really should have been upgraded because it didn't have the capacity to hold what they needed to hold. So they'd obviously they must have combined upstairs and downstairs lighting circuits. I'm pretty certain of that because they were basically twisted together in the same RCBO. That RCBO was not functioning correctly. So firstly...
So no testing done.
So no testing had been done on it, obviously. But then also when we went to then... Because we were obviously because we were disconnecting all the other main earths out of the board to complete our final sub-circuit testing, we then... Because I was getting shocked when I was working in the board, everything else was obviously dead. The main board was isolated at the main board because it had a main switchboard and then a sub board because there was multiple properties. Everything was isolated, but I was still getting shocked from something, and it turned out that there was basically 90 volts on the earth from the battery system, and that was also the case on the chassis of the battery system. There was 90 volts on the chassis.
So that came down to us doing a final test on our commissioning.
Yeah, we were trying to commission the job.
And doing our final mandatory testing and then finding a fault with someone else's work. We've actually contacted the installers that did it. They said they were going to come to site and rectify it. We did speak to them on the phone.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's been rectified yet. We've completely disconnected the battery system.
Yeah, so we removed the backup loads off the battery system because our biggest problem was it was late Friday afternoon. We didn't want to leave it in a state, but it meant sort of rejigging the board again to sort of make sure that that the client was going to have full power across the weekend. But it's annoying because it meant that obviously now she's got a battery system that's just sitting there not doing anything and not charging. So
and we said we'd go back and help them.
Yeah, we're more than happy to go. Yeah. I'm actually really interested to find out what the issue is. I'd really like to know what the problem was. Because it was such a weird one, is that it's one of the ones where you're doing it, and because there's a voltage on earth, you're sort of going, well, you start sort of questioning yourself because it's something that you don't normally see.
Yeah.
So we don't know. We'll watch this space on that one. I'll be interested to see what happens with it.
No, good, but that's that comes down to that same thing of the testing, because that's what we've picked that up from doing the testing with the multifunction tester, and that's how we picked all that stuff up.
Well, yeah, so there was 90 volts on the chassis of the battery system. So if you weren't correctly earthed and you went and touched the chassis of the battery system, you would be getting shocked.
Yeah.
Which is not safe, and it just shows that the person that installed it didn't do any testing on the system, because otherwise they would have known that.
And given the benefit of the doubt that something's happened,
granted something
maybe later on, but we've contacted them. They're saying they're going to go and rectify it. Don't know if that's been done yet, but it's going to be interesting to see what it actually was. I think the owner wants us to be there when it's happening to make sure that it does all get done correctly. So we said we're happy to come out free of charge and just go through and just be there at the same time, just to make sure everything's getting done right. Just check over it. And so
I think the biggest thing is it just really reiterated to me, not that I needed reiterating, but with talking about what we were just talking about then, so there being lots of renovations, I think the biggest thing is that from our perspective it just means that we need to be doing these condition reports going into the renovation. So we need to be given the opportunity to do a condition report of the electrical system prior to any renovations being complete, so we can basically flag issues there and then. And then it just means that that we have an understanding, so that we're not going into it in the end starting trying to test stuff and then finding that there's problems, because then
it's stuff that we're finding a problem with someone else's work. Who then do we charge for that? You know what I mean? That was a quoted job, so we're then chewing in time on a quote. Then we've got to turn around to a builder and a client and say, oh, hey, we found all these problems. Why wasn't it flagged at the start of the job? Well, if we would have done a test at the start of a renovation, which is going to be now, this is what happens. We put something happens, we put it in process. So I actually spoke to that builder this morning, and I said, what do you feel about this? Something like that's happened. How do you feel going forward on your jobs if we put a testing report in? So we'll go to site and we can do a full test and commission on everything before anything gets done or disconnected. Yeah. So if there is a fault on something, we know that. Be like, oh yeah, we've got bad readings on this circuit and this circuit.
Yeah.
Therefore, when we do our final commissioning, and if we haven't touched that, that was already like that.
Yeah, and I think it also
an
just gives the
half-covering
client,
thing,
it just gives the client the opportunity to rectify it. So we can say to them, this is what we found, this is the issue.
Which is what we're doing on another one of the jobs now. Like we've flagged on that same builder another renovation, unsafe wiring, mixed circuits, but 1.5 and 2.5 on 20 amp circuits and stuff. So we've brought that up, saying that needs to be fixed. So I think it's just like bringing that to light, and like once you, it's not an upsell. Like that's to bringing stuff to standard. So if you can bring that up and flag it, I think it's got to be done.
Well, it just means that we're not going through that process at the end. We're not going to them at the end when we're doing the testing going, there's all these issues on you. Because then it does, from a client's perspective, it does then look like we're just trying to, upsell.
Which is not. Tools. I'll go with mine first because mine's kind of in regards to that.
You've owned it for 3 days?
Today's the first day.
Yeah.
No, what I'm saying is...
I'm going to do my tool review in a minute, and I've actually used these are my tools that I use all the time.
I've just made like a little bag. So I've made like a lockout and commissioning bag. So this is like my lockout bag. So when I go to site, I use it today. I locked off the board. I've got all little lock dogs in the front, and then I've got isolation tags in here.
I didn't realise that Vito made a handbag.
This is a man purse.
Oh, right.
And then obviously I've got a few locks, and then just test equipment in there. So different meters in here. So it's the MB2, which is the meter bag. Probably would have gone the MB3 after talking to a few people. I think it's a bit wider because I couldn't fit an IR tester in there. So I need to buy a new skinny one. But yeah, I thought that was just something. So it's ready to go. So there's no excuses like having everything in different places. I know I'm going to work on a switchboard. I'm going to grab that bag. I've got to test it because my multimeter's in there anyway, and I've got a lock right there, so I'm going to lock it off. That's just bringing to light safe isolation. Yep. Like bring it to the forefront of your mind. You're going to do it every time. I thought that's a good thing to do. So good idea of a way to keep you accountable for doing it is have a bag that has your meters and your isolation all together. So when you go to use your meters and you're going to turn something off, you've got it all in one space. Obviously that's not all, that doesn't have everything in it because I've got heaps of different, I've got a whole nother bag full of different lock dogs, but the most common ones for like domestic switchboards, I just leave them in there. Yeah. I haven't got all the commercial stuff in there, so I'd have that, I've got all that in a separate bag. And then, quick other one, I just want to do a shout out to 3D Pro Melbourne again because got sent these ones. So I hit him up about doing a Zeta template because he hadn't done one, and no matter what job we do, everyone just cannot get them right.
Actually, we did some. I've done some. And we did them right. We actually had some good
render. The ones in render.
Yeah, the ones in render.
So the only ones we've done that seem to work are the ones we set the boxes in.
Gyprock and then render.
The ones we set the boxes in and it gets gyprocked or rendered seem to go good. When other people are cutting them out, I don't know what happens. It's just like they just don't seem to be cut out. They've got to be to the mill. They've got to be perfect to fit it in. So we've got this 3D template made up. I hit them up to make a 3D template. So this will be able to be cut. I haven't fully trialled it yet, but I've got one of the boxes and it fits in there perfectly. So I reckon it should be pretty good.
Well, they've got to be CNC'd. That's the problem. They've either got to be CNC'd or laser cut.
Yeah.
Laser cut in stone, and then you can CNC in timber.
Yeah. Because I think if you're doing it with a hole saw,
you can't do it with a hole saw. I tried.
Just doesn't come out great.
The problem is as well, if you're doing it in decorative timber, a hole saw will fuck the edges out.
Doesn't go clean. So
they've got to be cut out by the person.
Try this out. Hopefully it goes good. And then he also threw in a tile cutout. So I think they're new on his website. So if you're looking for something just to clip on your bag so you can cut them out on tiles, that fits all outlets in that.
I'm keeping that.
So that's pretty good. It's got a little hole in there. Clip it on your bag.
That's mine now.
Shout out for them. That's awesome. Pretty keen to use. I had a few people I posted on Instagram, and a few people already hit me up saying if they work, they're keen to buy them. So I'm going to do a test with it, make sure. I'm going to do it with a hole saw and see how it goes. I didn't have a 48mm hole saw, so I was cutting it at 50 and it was too big, so I've got to get a 48 and then just trial it with that and a multi-tool and see how that goes. So we'll do that, and that's it. I'll take that. You can steal that.
I'm keeping it. That's mine now.
What do you got in your vest today? What's in Sam's vest today?
All right, my first one actually of these, I bought these online.
Does it just sit on the back of your chair?
Yeah, that's petite.
Like, that's heavier than the Vito backpack.
No, it's not.
Really?
No, it's not. The first one of these, I don't know what the model number is on them, but they're the 1000 volt rated Fujiya lines and suppliers.
Fujiya.
And they're really good. I've thoroughly enjoyed those. They're cheaper than channel locks, same price as Marvels, but they're a bit longer.
Have they got good blades
Marvels. They've got good blades in them when they come. They're not a cross cut, so the other Fujiyas, I know Dave Willman, I think he has gone quite extensively into the Japanese models and really rates them, and I'm with you, Dave, because I rate
So
those.
what did Jacko done? He's put channel lock
Jacko's
handles on
got
them.
channel lock handles on the Fujiya, but
I rate that better because I hate
crosscuts.
not having the. I don't know what it is. I don't have a system aesthetic
Yeah, those
thing.
are nice.
I hate not having the block. What's it
No,
called?
you get used to it though. You get used to it. Those are nice because they're so long. These are good price.
Yeah.
They're $50. I bought these from Amazon and they were $50.
Yeah.
And I thought that's like $15 cheaper than channel
I think
locks?
are they on Addicted to Tools as well? He's got a few of them on the shop, like that brand.
I think so.
Japanese stuff.
But I rate them. Yeah, these are good. I rate these more than, and like I said, $50. I thought it was pretty good. And that was my first Amazon purchase. I didn't realise that Addicted to Tools had them. And then I also bought these Vessel. I think they call them like ergonomic screwdrivers. They've got like a ball on the end. That's the Phillips 2. And at first the sizing of them is a bit weird, like the flat heads are a bit weird, but the Phillips models are good. I'll show you a flathead one, they're a bit odd. I'll just dig around in my vest. Fuck off. Flathead's a bit weird, it's a bit big. But they're kind of nice because they do sit in the palm of your hand really well.
Little finger.
And those again were cheaper than, or on par with like your Kleins and your Barcos and those. So I thought they were just cool, something different to try. I know Vessel make the full automatic screwdrivers that you've got.
The electric one, yeah.
The electric one. I just wanted these, and they're good. I really quite enjoyed using them, and I've also, I think we talked about, I also bought that X-Torque
Torque screwdriver,
which is sick. I've used that so much recently with all the testing we've been doing. I've been going back and torquing all the boards up after we finished testing.
Yeah. So that's just the X-Torque one. They're like $150 at Sydney Tools.
Yeah, they're on sale at the moment, so definitely if you want to go and get yourself one. And actually, I'll share the table that that's a really useful table for Hagar brand RCBOs and circuit breakers for torque settings, because it's quite hard to find.
Yeah.
It's quite a useful thing to have. I know we predominantly use Hagar, but you'd probably run pretty much similar torque settings for everything else, I would say.
Okay. So this week was going to talk about some pretty dark deaths in the industry, because there has been a few. Like 2 deaths within 4 days, both from the same thing. So 2 deaths within 4 days, and both electricians working under the floor of a house. So underneath the house, and one of them's pretty wild. They actually found the guy still with the cable in his hand that killed him. So not sure what the exact story is. They're both in they were both in New South Wales, so they're both going through safe works involved to obviously find out exactly what's happened. So that was a 33-year-old electrician, a 53-year-old electrician, and maybe a 35-year-old electrician as well. So
that's my age.
Yeah.
That's
so
nice.
pretty wild.
That's not a nice
put some photos of the actual cable that was in the photo on the Master Electricians page about the story on there. So pretty crazy. And that's like only a couple months after the young 23-year-old died in the roof in WA. So that's three deaths in a short space of time. The other bad one was back in April, which was the guy that died opening the switchboard from the live chassis in there. I'm not sure if it was from the door, from touching it. A young guy, I think he was 33, came into contact with the live conductors whilst working the switchboard. So, that's 4 deaths this year that are down to things that we do every day. So it's regulation in WA to turn the main switch off when you enter the roof of a house. It's not anywhere else. It's highly recommended, but it's not law. I don't believe, but it is in WA.
Yeah. But we've talked about that as well. Like, I feel like it's a very, I don't know, it's a hard expectation to put on a lot of people as well. Yeah. But I think it all comes down, like you said, like we were talking about today, I think it comes about communication with clients around that kind of stuff, and then you've got to be sort of explaining these things and the reason why you're doing things, and if they're not willing to allow you to do those things, then you've got to be charging them accordingly. But I suppose it comes down to, for us, I suppose, the people booking in the work to explain that to them. Well, that's where it comes down as an employer. Like, it probably all falls back onto me to put the procedures in place, because that affected me. Like, work, man, I remember my first week as an apprentice, I was under the floor of a school for fucking weeks, running data cable for weeks for my first week, and I can tell you none of that was de-energised. It was all live. The school was still going the whole time. And that's when I think back of that was in a pretty big company with a lot of safety procedures in place, and that was never a thing that was put on us, especially going underneath the floor. Obviously commercial, so never really dealt with going in roofs of houses or anything, but like pretty tight crawl spaces, it's the same thing, like you get trapped under there and there's a live cable hanging down. But I was a first year apprentice, I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know about touching cables and stuff either. So, you kind of, it's got to come into play. There's not going to be a time when you can always turn the power off to a house. Like, and you could probably lose it. This is where an employer's going to look at it. You can lose a job, because if you explain that to someone and they go, well, I don't want you to do that, I'll find someone else that'll just, like 90% of people aren't turning, maybe more, aren't turning the power off to a house to get in the roof. Well, no, because it's not, like, honestly, I don't feel like it's not something that you instantly think of, right? It's not something that instantly comes to the forefront. Okay, so put it in regards to, if you're working in an old house, foil insulation, 100%. Steel frame roof, 100%. Anything with old steel conduit. Yeah, I think when it comes down to you and I spoke about this, when it comes down to the age of a property, if you're looking at something that's really old and you don't know what the wiring is like, then yeah, you definitely would. Realistically, we're not really doing it too much. Where I was working before, I was doing it a lot more, but that was never a thing. Didn't even get spoken about, to be honest, by our employer. It wasn't even brought up about it, and I could guarantee that they wouldn't be pushing that. That's for sure. I think it's not something we did in the UK. I think something that we spoke about today was isolating, at a bare minimum, solar, lighting. Yeah, I think the solar's a pretty important one. Any major sub-circuits in regards to hot waters, ACs, anything like that. If you've got anything that you presume is run in the roof. Yeah. So if you can get away with leaving power on for the client, but it could come down to bad joins in the roof and stuff as well. That's where the problems lie. So saying you can isolate stuff, and it still doesn't mean it's going to be safe. No. But then... Yeah, but that's the problem with working on existing electrical installations in general. You can do all the work. A lot of the day, it is very hard. Like, we can suggest and do all these things, but it can just be down purely to poor workmanship from the person who's been there before you. Like, you don't know. For all you know, you could isolate the lighting circuit, and for all you know, half those lights are run on the power circuit, as Toby found the other day. Yeah. You don't know. Like, it's down to... Yeah, obviously, isolating your main switch is the main thing, but then what if there's a fault in your mains? Still running through the roof. Yeah, if they run through the roof, if it's an overhead. Yeah.
So
Well, same thing with this constant thing as well. Like we have a big thing here where people are always, we find it a lot that they've bypassed the ripple meter for the hot water system. So the hot water is actually on the off peak, not on the, sorry, is on the on peak, not on the off peak. Whereas you're constantly presuming, again, I've recently have been belted by one because it was on the off peak and I was on the on peak and I presumed that it was on the off peak. And so I left it. When I was doing something in the board, and because you put presumptions in place, right? Because the way that the way that I work, and probably it's maybe naive of me that you work on the expectation that everyone has the same level of care and willingness to do the job right as you do.
Which I think now you know that they don't.
Oh, 100%. I definitely have a different attitude, but it's, I don't know, makes it a bit of a sad day as well.
But that's the whole thing that we're talking about with the testing and trying to, like what we spoke about with Dave last week, it's like raising the industry standards.
Yeah.
Because if everyone is doing the right thing, then you shouldn't be worried about that sort of stuff. Like,
No.
you know what I mean? Like, you shouldn't have to be worried that you're going to get in a roof of a house and someone's done something so fucked that it could kill you. Or under a floor.
No.
Like, that shit shouldn't even happen. They shouldn't even be thinking about that because what I couldn't even possibly think of a way where I would have done something wrong that could lead to someone dying, let alone someone in a roof or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
No.
how can you be so negligent to be able to do something that could even? I don't know. It's just it doesn't make sense to me.
It's crazy. It's not. It's awful.
It's
awful.
definitely a shock in the industry. I feel for all the families that have to go through that because no one should lose their life at work. It's not.
No, it's work. You shouldn't die going to work.
People being put in, especially someone that's being put in a dangerous situation.
Well, that was going to be my other thing. I would be interested to see if it does fully come out as to the particulars of each of those scenarios. And I'm not saying in any way that what the person was doing was incorrect or that they were doing the wrong thing, but the one with the guy, unless he's grabbed onto
that's the
something
one
that
I
was
was saying.
live,
So
I was a bit
in
puzzled as to how that would have happened.
Kalala Bay, near Nowra. So just after 8 p.m. Thursday, they found the man unresponsive under the home, and he had still had the cable in his hand that had apparently killed him. That's on the news. That was on the news. So touching, working, was he working live?
Yeah, well, that was going to be one of my questions.
Was he testing it? Was he working live? Don't know. So, it's that thing. You could do something 1,000 times, and it only takes one time to kill you.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
That's what it comes about every time, is remembering, how dangerous what we do can be. And we all do it. Like, I still do stupid shit. Like, you just don't think about it and go, fuck, you get a little tingle or something. Like, really, it's different. Then if you're negligent in that way, then you start working on bigger stuff. That's where it's all sort of...
I think when something's wrong.
Yeah.
I personally.
Well,
when you've done something that's not right.
That was the other thing I was going to...
You know when what you're doing is potentially not the way that you should be doing it, and I think the biggest thing is, like we've spoken about before, is just taking your time. It's something that we see time and time again, is like we keep talking about, like, this shit is really dangerous, and it's not something to be rushed, and it's not something to be shortcuts to be taken. Do it the right way the first time, and then then we shouldn't even have to be talking about raising the industry standard. The industry standard should be good because it should be done right the first time.
Well, that's the other thing that we were talking about in the Discord. So in regards to PPE, as per AS NZ 4836 2023, so the new standards for working on or near live conductors. So technically, the definition of working on a live conductor or near a live conductor is 500 mil. So working within 500 mil of a live conductor, then you're working live. That's the definition of working live. So if you're working in a chassis board and you take the cover off and you could turn that main switch off and you're loading RCBOs in there, whatever, chassis dead, you've still got live mains to your main isolator. That's working live because you're still working within 500 mil of.
But that's every
of
domestic
conductor.
switchboard, though.
Yep.
Every main switchboard of a house.
No, because if you, well, what are you saying? You've got a few, like there's no live parts exposed live parts.
Yeah, but does it say live parts or live conductors? It doesn't say exposed live parts. It says live conductors. So theoretically, that is every single switchboard.
Well, which is kind of what we spoke about at NECA. So the requirements for PPE, it's sort of more when you get around 400 volts, above 63 amps, so between 63 amps and 160 amps. And if you're switching, isolating, removing fuses or links, or operating, and then there's authorised live work, testing, fault finding, and so what you're going to be having to wear is arc-rated PPE, arc-rated long sleeve shirt and pants or coveralls, arc-rated face shield with chin return, arc-rated leather or voltage rated gloves with leather protective outers. It's safety glasses instead of a face shield if you're switching, isolating, removing fuses or links. So if you're working in the board and those mains are still live, you need to be doing that. So say, there's not that many times when you can't isolate a board in that regards, is there? Because we were going through it and so we've got...
So does that mean that doesn't work?
We've got a LV mat, LV rescue kit, face shield, gloves, everything like that. So if you do have to do it...
So if it's below 63 amps though, or it's 63 amps and below, you don't have to do that. Is that what you're saying?
It's got different requirements so there's a table, it's got different requirements for what you're doing, and it's got PPE, so below 63 amps is PPE based on electrical risk, so you have to go through your risk assessment and based on that. So what I want to bring in 100% is because it's not always that you've got, okay, so say you've, for instance, main switchboard where you can't turn everything off, and you can't isolate the chassis, but you want to work on one of the DBs, but you've got to, if you have to remove the scutcheon, working with doing that with an arc-rated suit, class 0 gloves and a face shield and an LV mat with a rescue kit there is required.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Thermal imaging, because you got to do that live, same thing.
Yeah, because I don't think there are many scenarios in which really that you should be able to isolate it and you shouldn't be taking because chances are you're going to need to be doing something in that board that involves you having the power off anyway. So then what difference does it make whether you turn it off 10 minutes before? Or?
Yeah, 100%. So it's good with a big, because if you can isolate the chamber, then you've got your bus in those bigger boards should be all dead as well. So it's definitely just that, reiterating that thing of not doing that. And then so what it comes down to is now that's been made, this is my understanding of it, could be wrong, that now it's been made like law. If that PPE is provided to you by your employer and you choose not to use it, then you will, and something happens, you will not be covered by insurance or work cover or anything like that. That's
the case, I think, in everything though. It's the case in all PPE.
So, but now it's actually a standard. So if you do remove a scutcheon live or something like that, and something happens and you get electric shock and you have to go to hospital or whatever, you are not covered.
No.
Because you should have had the correct PPE in place, which was provided by your employer. If it's not provided by your employer, there's a different story. So making sure that your company does provide those things if you need to go that way. Yeah,
well, I think you would be having it irregardless, surely.
Yeah.
Because you would just be having it.
Yeah. Sweet. Wow.
It's interesting though. It's good that those things are coming into play because, like I said, with the deaths or with not that the deaths were related to what we were talking about, but the deaths in general, it shows that hopefully things are changing and we're becoming more up.
Let us know. What are you doing? Are you turning off the main switch when you get in the roof? Are you doing it when you get under the floor? Are you allowed to do that at your work? What have people got in place? Lockout, tag out, huge thing. like that's an easy way to start. Just like what I've said with the tool bag, get yourself a little kit, have it on a little pouch with your meter, so you just get used to doing that. So even if you do it still in a PowerPoint, go to the board, lock it off. Like just start that little thing. So that safe thing is just reminding you about that. You know what I mean? Like if you're working in someone's house, like people are a bit mental. You know what I mean? Like someone could easily just turn something on. You might tell them not to, but if you don't have that locked off, you got to put everything in place to stop yourself from
getting hurt or getting killed.
So maybe you tell someone that, I've got to turn your power off, I'm getting under the floor. And then you do that and you don't lock it off and you just turn it off, and then they go, oh, actually I've got to fucking make a sandwich on my sandwich press, and they go and turn it back on thinking it's harmless.
Yeah.
And something did happen, then,
Yeah, that's right.
So, I don't know, good thing just to be reiterating to people. I know a lot of people were talking about it last few days. Matt from Addicted Tools put some stories up of it, which got a few conversations started with that. I know people in the Discord chat were talking about the deaths as well, so... and then things that are coming into play at their work. So yeah, definitely good to be talking about it, bringing it up. If your company doesn't know about what's happened or anything like that, bring it up, talk about it. It just puts it in your mind, and then at least next time you're in one of those situations, it might be fresh in your head.
Yeah, 100%.
Of what to do, the right thing.
Yeah, and you do know what the right thing is. Surely everyone knows what the right thing is, hopefully.
Yeah, it's actually pretty easy, so.
Don't work live.
Isolate and test.
Isolate and test, and don't work live. Doesn't matter how important someone makes it out to be. No. Nothing is ever so important that you can't turn it off. And if they don't want you to turn it off, walk away and tell them that you'll come back and organise it at a time that suits them, that is more appropriate, and then you put the ball in their court.
Yeah.
Don't ever work live.
Sweet. All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks for this.
That's fine.